Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into, well, a really complex and urgent situation, the Israel-Iran conflict. We're using a key source for this Rising Lion Israel-Iran conflict update, June 2025. It covers Israel's recent big military action, Operation Rising Lion. Our mission, as always, is to give you that shortcut to understanding, get you the crucial insights, maybe some surprising facts, without getting totally overloaded. So let's jump right in. Where do things stand right now? June 17th, 2025. What's the state of play?
Well, the key thing to grasp is the scale and strategy of this Operation Rising Lion. It started back on June 13th. Israel launched a series of really deep airstrikes and covert drone attacks.
Okay, deep strikes. What were they hitting?
It wasn't just reactive. This looked like a deliberate effort to seriously hit Iran's capabilities. We're talking nuclear facilities, missile launchers, military HQs, even state media outlets, and reportedly high-ranking officials.
And the human cost on the Iranian side?
It's significant. Reports indicate at least 224 killed, and that includes non-combatants, in Tehran and other areas.
Yeah.
Over 1,200 injured as well.
Right. So after that initial pretty intense operation from Israel, how did Iran respond? What did they hit back with?
Iran's response was pretty swift and large-scale. They fired over 350 missiles and drones into Israel.
350.
Yeah. A mix of missiles and drones. They struck places like Tel Aviv, Haifa, Petah Tikva, other areas too.
And the impact in Israel? Casualties there?
In Israel, the numbers are lower. Currently around 24 killed and about 592 injured.
Quite a difference in the number.
A really stark contrast, yeah. And that difference itself is, a major point people are analyzing.
Okay, let's unpack the military side a bit more then. What stands out? What are the claims?
Well, Israel is claiming they've achieved aerial dominance. That's their position.
Meaning?
They report destroying about a third of Iran's missile launchers, something like 120 sites. If that's accurate, it would definitely weaken Tehran's ability to fire back immediately.
Right. Hitting the launch capability directly.
Exactly. It points to a clear strategic aim there, a significant blow potentially.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, maybe peeling back a layer. What about covert actions? Any intelligence details emerging?
Ah, yes. This is crucial. Our sources suggest that Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, ran covert drone operations before the main air campaign even started.
Before. So preemptive sabotage.
Exactly. Apparently targeting Iranian air defenses, missile platforms, basically trying to pave the way for the airstrikes.
Okay, that could explain some of the aerial dominance claims and maybe the casualty disparity too.
It certainly seems to have been a factor in shaping that initial phase.
Yeah.
But, despite this, Iran is still firing missiles, just maybe pacing them. They likely have long-term reserves.
So neither side is really showing signs of de-escalating.
Not at this stage, no. It's been pretty locked in for now.
Let's shift to the human cost. The civilians caught in the middle. What's happening on the ground?
It's severe. In Tehran, there are reports of mass evacuations because of the direct military threat.
Right.
Northern Iran has been hit hard, too, causing widespread panic. We're hearing about fuel shortages, internet disruptions.
Yeah.
A lot of people trying to move to safer areas.
And in Israel, you mentioned Petah Tikva.
Yes, civilian areas were hit. Petah Tikva saw 4 reported deaths. There have been evacuations there, too. But interestingly, reports suggest public support in Israel for the military operations remains quite high, despite the suffering.
That's a complex dynamic.
Very.
Okay, pulling back to the bigger picture, the global reaction, diplomacy, what does this all mean internationally?
Well, internationally, things are incredibly tense. Donald Trump, speaking from the G7 summit, basically called for Iran to back down, demanding a real end to their nuclear ambitions, not just, a pause or a ceasefire.
And the G7 as a whole.
The G7 statement acknowledged Israel's right to self-defense, and it explicitly named Iran as the main destabilizing force. That gives Israel significant diplomatic cover, you could say.
What about the U.S. specifically, beyond Trump's statement?
The U.S. has visibly increased its military footprint in the region, deployed more naval assets, B-2 bombers, F-35s. It looks like deterrence, showing force but stopping short of getting directly involved in the fighting.
Any other major players weighing in? Russia? China?
Russia and Turkey have offered to mediate, but they've also criticized Israel's strikes as aggressive. China's accused Trump of making things worse. And crucially, Iran has now threatened to withdraw from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. That's a big deal, especially with attacks happening near its enrichment sites.
Withdrawing from the NPT? Wow. Okay, so where does this go next? What are analysts saying?
The worry among analysts is that this could drag on. Israel's advanced interceptors like Iron Dome and David's Sling are effective, but they have limits. The stockpile could potentially run low in a long conflict.
While Iran might be able to sustain periodic attacks.
Exactly. Iran might have the capacity for continued spaced-out retaliations. And the IAEA, the UN nuclear watchdog, they've actually flagged potential chemical or radiological risks from strikes near nuclear or missile sites.
That's alarming. Is there any diplomatic off-ramp in sight?
It's tepid right now. Iran says maybe talks if Israel stops the strikes, but the U.S. and G7 are pushing for talks that must address the nuclear program directly, so the conditions don't really line up yet.
So it's clear this is incredibly volatile, moving fast, complex, military, human cost, diplomacy, all intertwined. We hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of the key elements right now.
Right. And maybe a final thought for you to consider, given everything we've discussed. Iran's threat about the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the IAEA's safety warnings about the strikes. What does this all mean, not just for the region, but for global nuclear security if this conflict keeps going? Something to really think about.